When I was a little kid, and none of you are old enough to remember this, but when I was a little kid, I can remember I'd go to church, and Mrs. McGillicuddy would be praying the rosary, and Mrs. Smith would have her favorite novenas, and Mr. Smith was usually thinking about cutting the lawn, and there were others who were counting how many people had yellow hats, and everybody had their own individual devotion. And meanwhile, the priest paid his own darn business and just stood at the altar, minded his own business, and did his own thing. And you knew he was doing something holy, and he hoped that you were doing something holy, and together it kind of all mushed in together. Not so anymore. And in fact, for most of the history of the liturgy, it's a common action in which I let go of myself and become part of the body of Christ, praying as one corporate body that is not separated by time or space or anything else, but I become part of something so much bigger than me, being joined to Christ in the one sacrifice of praise. Which is why we're told by the Roman Missal, the people are to, or that people includes me, are to shun any appearance of individualism or division, keeping before their eyes that they have the one Father in heaven, and therefore are all brothers and sisters to each other. They should become one body, whether when hearing the word, or joining in the prayers and song, or above all by offering the sacrifice together and sharing together in the Lord's table. There is a beautiful expression of this unity when the faithful together perform the same gestures and the same postures. The faithful should serve the people of God. The faithful should serve the people of God joyfully when asked to perform ministries in common. So, that's who we are. We're a common people to start with. And what is it that this common people does together? It's described by what we call the order of Mass. Do you ever wonder what's in this book that I'm reading all the time? There are two books that we use in the liturgy. And those of you who are lectors have seen one of them. There is the lectionary for Mass. Everybody say lectionary. This is the lectionary. And the lectionary contains all of the readings for Mass. This is actually in 4 volumes. And on Sundays, we'll talk about this more in a little bit, but on Sundays there's a 3-year cycle, and on weekdays there's a 2-year cycle of readings. But that's all contained in the lectionary for Mass. The other book you need to have for Mass is the sacramentary. Everybody say sacramentary. Sacramentary. Now forget that name, because it's going to be called the Roman Missal as of next year. So this is the Roman Missal, even though it says sacramentary on the binding here. But the